Okay, so I'm off onto another little tangent today, taking a break from the Cub Cadet for a little while, but still garden tractor related. So, my 200 series and my 300 John Deere, some versions of it take a grill that kind of looks like this mangled up mess here, which granted this one's still reasonably salvageable, but at any rate, these are getting to be harder to locate. I mean, they're still out there and they're, at reasonably decent prices, but certainly not forever. Since, people like to throw pretty much everything that's made out of metal away because it's disposable. But at any rate, what I've been trying to figure out how to do is if I could make this shape on some perforated metal. So I wound up test driving some different pieces. So this is just aluminum. Basically, I laid out half-inch lines, 1-inch lines, 3/4-inch lines, or spacing, between these lines, 5/8 lines, trying to find a spacing that would give me this pattern, or give me this approximate wavelength, I guess you could say. So anyways, what seemed to work out the best so far has been this 5/8 inch spacing. So this matches fairly well. There's two tricky parts. One is getting this all laid out. Basically, right on this one, I've got all my lines marked on one side, but on the piece over here, I've got every other line marked on the back side, so that when I flip it to make the reverse bend, I have marks to align to the piece of metal I'm using to form these things with. So anyways, the one issue that I currently have is the piece that I've got over here that I was able to come up with from Menards yesterday. This is aluminum, unfortunately. So I won't be able to weld this to the rest of the parts that I wind up fabricating in the future for this, but I can find a way to adhere them or weld on some steel studs and put them through the holes on here. So anyways, I'll find some way to make this stick, but there you can kind of see the lines that I've got marked on this side, and then I started cheating and doing it the simpler way. So anyways, these lines are offset by 5/8 of an inch from the lines on this side. And basically all I'm doing, now this is the part that's going to get long, drawn out, and boring, so if you want to fast forward, this would be a good time to fast forward. This is all I'm doing. Oops, trying to miss one already. I partially form then I move on to another one, get my lines lined up, partially form that one, then I'll flip it over, go back to one of the ones I did before, kind of form it a little bit better. It's a back and forth process. Trying to get this, I mean, obviously I could build some sort of dies, but I don't think my press Ooh, actually, come to think of it, my fly press might be big enough to do this with, but so far it looks like I can do this forming it by hand. It's just slow and time consuming, but at least it's giving me a fighting chance. Oh, and this edge, this is a piece of 1/4 inch aluminum that I just kind of took a file to and rounded off these corners a little bit so that I have something to form these over. Hopefully you guys can see this well enough to kind of get the idea of what I'm doing here. Basically, it's just a lot of small progressions, not trying to do everything in one step. And I think I'll be able to get there like this and make a halfway decent looking part. And I'm still kind of refining my process on this because, you know, it's not like this is something that normal people would do on a regular basis. Let me bring the camera in a little bit closer. Don't know if it'll help or not, but it'll wind up with carpal tunnel doing this. This seems to work a little bit better, so I keep progressing one direction or the other. Come on, get to the spot. At any rate, it's definitely slow going, but it seems to be forming at least. It's just one of those things that can't really rush. So, anyways, I'm sure you guys get the idea by now. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to keep chugging away on this thing, and I'll bring you guys back a little bit later to finish up the video. Okay, I'm getting somewhat close on the shape. I just need to kind of even things out a little bit. So I'm just going to keep plugging away at this, and I'll compare it here and there to the factory one. But it's still going to take some time to get it just right. But it's starting to be less crooked, at least. I'll tell you what, this really is a good demonstration of, for every action there's an opposite but equal reaction. I bend on one side, I have to unbend on the other side, etc., etc. But it's getting there. And even if I don't get it to be exactly the same thing as the factory original, it'll still be better than having a gaping hole where it's supposed to be. A little harder to do out on the ends also, but I don't think I'll need the entire outer section of it. I think I've got a few extras on this. I still don't think I have it quite as tight as the original, but I think that is probably close enough that I could use it, or at least spend just a little bit more time fine-tuning it. I'm going to pull the camera off here and try to put the two pieces side to side here. It's pretty close. I'm pretty darn happy with how this is turning out. Let's see, where can I put this? I wish I could have gotten steel, but I'm sure I'll find some steel eventually. I'd say that's not too shabby, all things considered. So eventually I should be able to find some steel that has holes that are similar to this. This is just some decorative aluminum that Menards had, so I know I can find something that's more appropriate, especially if I get onto McMaster Carr or something like that. But I don't know. I'm pretty darn tickled with it. I think the procedure is gonna be definitely a win in the future. So hopefully that will give some people a few more ideas on how to keep their garden tractors buzzing along in the future. So till next time.